5 reasons why Donald Trump's massive North Korea gamble makes total and complete sense. Yeah, none other than CNN's editor-at-large, Chris Cillizza, wrote this piece today, which came as a huge shock to me, because it shows that at least one person in CNN seems to think objectively regarding Donald Trump. Hi, I'm Michael Wan, your host for Michael Wan's Op-Ed Live. Okay, so here we go. Let's go through the article. So the title is 5 Reasons Why Donald Trump's Massive North Korea Gamble Makes Total and Complete Sense. And it goes like this. President Donald Trump caught the world by surprise late Thursday with his stunning announcement that he would accept North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un's invitation to meet sometime between now and May. Assuming that the meeting actually happens, Trump will be the first sitting president to speak with either in person or by phone a North Korean leader. Whether you like Trump or hate him, you can't conclude anything other than this is a massive, massive gamble, the likes of which we haven't seen from an American president, diplomatically speaking, in a very long time. Well, he's correct on this front, but the other gambles that we took before regarding North Korea has failed massively as well, which he didn't note. And it says, and it continues, in retrospect, it actually makes perfect sense that Trump is willing to roll the dice on such a massive stage. The move to meet with Kim is actually something very close to the platonic ideal of Trumpism. And Chris Cillizza, a CNN editor-at-large, continues, here are 5 reasons why. Number 1, Trump, the deal maker. When Donald Trump looks in the mirror, he sees someone who is uniquely able to bring people together who have never come together before and put a deal together. He believes himself to be one of the great deal makers in history. As such, he has to try to tackle the biggest deal-making challenges in the world, and finding a way to a more stable and denuclearized North Korea is about as big as they come. Okay, so this is true. Donald Trump does think of himself as the best deal maker in the world, probably in history in his mind. If you read any of his books, which I did read plenty, you would be convinced that at least he thinks of himself in this light, even though that might not be factually true. But Trump has been successful in business. He said he started off with $1 million back in the 70s, I believe, from his dad, Fred Trump, and he made that $1 million balloon up, according to him, $10 billion, so which makes him a pretty successful deal maker. And he continues, number 2, Trump, the history maker. Peppered into almost every single one of Trump's speeches is some phrase like never been done before, or historic, biggest, or first. He loves to go where no one else has gone before, or at least where he believes no one has gone before. He also has a tendency to say he is making history, like largest inauguration crowd ever, and those kind of claims that he made. The chance to be the first sitting American president to sit down with Kim Jong-un was simply too appealing to Trump's love of firsts to possibly pass up. I agree with him on this, that Trump tends to like historic, biggest, first, or whatever he does that none of the other presidents do. So I think he's trying to make history here. So I completely agree with this guy, Chris Cillizza, CNN editor-at-large, regarding the Trump trying to make history here. But also, what I do think is Trump isn't just doing this for history's sake. He's also doing this to try to bring peace and denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. So that's where I go with number 2 with that. And here, number 3, Trump, the unorthodox. Trump revels in the idea of freaking out the political establishment, doing something that everyone in Washington will fret about while he will just go do it. He loves to freak out the squares. It appeals to his lingering sense that the smart people aren't all that smart, after all, and his bitterness about never being included in the cool kids club. There's an element of wait until they get a load of me in Trump at all times. I think he got Trump 100% on this. He's exactly right when he talks about that he loves freaking out the political establishment. That's all he ran for. That's what he ran for during his 2016 presidential election campaign. He wanted to destroy the political establishment. That's why he claimed drain the swamp, right? What is a swamp? It's a Washington, D.C. establishment. It's either both Democrats and Republicans, but he wanted to drain the swamp, which is also about freaking out the political establishment. And he also mentioned that it appeals to his lingering sense that the smart people aren't all that smart. I agree with him 100% on this one, because Trump did mention about this even before he ran for president. When he was a businessman and when he was the host of The Apprentice, he always mentioned that many people think that they are smart, but they are actually not. So smart people aren't all that smart. That sentence really rings true to me. And he says his bitterness about never being included in the cool kids club. I don't know whether he really thinks about this. I think some people kind of criticize him of being too narcissistic, that he might think of himself, I would say, probably even above cool kids club. So that doesn't ring true to me. So anyway, we'll continue to number 4. Trump the freelancer. In the opening to The Art of the Deal, Trump wrote about how he liked to start his day. Clean desk, empty schedule. He didn't like to make plans. He liked to react at whatever the day threw at him. His grand strategy was just a bunch of tactics sewed together. And Trump has brought that same mentality to the White House. Trump has brittled under attempts by his staff to keep him on message for a day or even a week. He values his executive time. When he putters around the residence, watching television and tweeting, he trusts his gut, even if it says something different than all the eggheads in his administration. I agree with him 200, 1,000% on this number 4, Trump the freelancer. I don't know whether our viewers read Art of the Deal. I didn't finish The Art of the Deal. There are some parts that isn't that particularly appealing to me, so I kind of stopped in the middle. But in the opening, I heard that this book, Art of the Deal, really shows who Donald Trump is as a human being. He doesn't like associations. He likes one leader, one leadership. He doesn't like a pack of leadership. He thinks associations or foundations or federations, these kind of things are because they lack, everybody of those groups member lacks leadership. That's why they tend to rely on these association and foundation and federation. But in Donald Trump's case, he likes to be the lone leader. If you read Art of the Deal, I think it's pretty clear. I just read probably half of it, but I could feel that. And he like you said, he doesn't like to go with a crowd. He tends to go against it. That's why if you look at his 2016 presidential election campaign, he was very unorthodox. And he was one of a kind. I consider Donald Trump a masterful politician. I know the mainstream media and the establishment doesn't view him that way. They think he's a spoiled brat, but I really view him as a masterful politician. You have to be a masterful politician if you want to win the White House as an outsider. He never held a political position in his entire life. So we have to give credit where credit is due. And here it says Trump wrote about how he liked to start his day, clean desk, empty schedule. He does like to react better than proacting in this sense. I agree with him on that. And he does watch a lot of television, news television, like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. I know that because I watch that all the time too. When I'm at home, I watch Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, and ABC, NBC, CBS, and I go to all kinds of iPod shows too as well. And if you check out those shows, Trump is really up to date. I think he tweets while he's watching. I think many people who have been following his tweeting could probably notice that. And we continue to number 5, Trump, the reality TV star. Trump's background as a reality television show star and producer is never far from his mind. Trump knows that a meeting between him and Kim will have the eyes of the world on it. Heck, even the announcement of the meeting was straight out of the reality TV playbook. Stay tuned for a big announcement later tonight. Given the number of potential eyeballs who will be watching the Trump-Kim meetup, It was literally an opportunity Trump could never and would never pass up. Yes, I agree with him 100% on this one too. Trump is a Donald Trump became famous in the 80s, not as a TV reality star. He started off as a real estate developer. I think many people started noticing Donald Trump like early 80s, especially in New York. But I think what really made him a superstar, in a sense of, you know, what really made his name a household name was, I would say, the book Art of the Deal that came out in, I believe, 1988. I think it came out in 1988. That book was massively popular. It hit the #1 New York Times bestseller list back in the day. And I remember when I was a kid in grade school, my dad gave me a present of Art of the Deal, a Korean version of it. And I didn't finish it even that time, but I did probably read 1/3 of it. But that's what made Donald Trump even popular in Asia or Europe. You know, that's how he became popular. I believe it started with Art of the Deal, that book. And in the 90s, no, I think it was the 2000s, that's when he struck a deal with NBC with the Apprentice show and, you know, Celebrity Apprentice and all these reality TV shows. And he hit #1 among all the TV programs. He hit #1. I believe that was like 2004 when he first started that show. So he hit #1 with his real estate business, and also #1 in Art of the Deal. You know, it hit the New York Times bestseller list #1, and he also made it #1 in the reality TV world. So I think in his mind, he thought he can also take on the politics, you know, the political world, and go straight to the White House. I don't ever believe that Trump did his election campaign just for publicity. I think he really truly believed, he's the type of person who I think that he truly believed that he would win the United States presidency. I truly believe that. Some people say that, you know, it happened to become that way because he started to gain traction. No, I don't think so. He's been trying to run for president even back in 2000, the year 2000, and also back in 2012. I interviewed Donald Trump back in 2011 because it was 2012, I think, yeah. Because I thought that he would run that year, but he eventually endorsed Mitt Romney and decided not to run. So I never took him seriously after that, but when he did announce June 16th of 2015 that he will run for U.S. presidency, I took him very seriously. And that day I remember telling my wife that he will win the U.S. presidency because he always talked about issues. He never talked about his apprenticing, you know, at least during his election campaign. He didn't talk a lot about those entertainment issues. He talked about the real issues, like jobs, manufacturing, trade deal, illegal immigration, all these important issues that nobody else wanted to talk about. So that's why he won on November 8th of 2015, in 2016 in a landslide. It was a landslide. He won 306. So, you know, that. So I always felt that Donald Trump was a force to be reckoned with. And he said, here it says, he trusts his gut, even if it says something different than all the eggheads in his administration. I do believe that Donald Trump goes with his guts more than his head. He even mentioned those in his books, like almost in every single book that he wrote. So Donald Trump is more of a, he puts so much importance in how he feels at the moment, rather than all the information that the experts have to say. So I think this guy from CNN editor-at-large, Chris Cillizza, he got it spot on. He got it spot on. Today was indeed a special day to see CNN giving a comparatively glowing portrayal of Donald Trump. Well, that's our show for today. And please remember, the most important thing is that it's not about left or right. It's about being right or wrong. To stay up to date with our latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.